Preta, preta, pretinha. Preta, preta, pretinha. Preta, preta, pretinha. Preta, preta, pretinha. Enquanto eu corria, assim eu ia lhe chamar. Enquanto corria a barca, lhe chamar. Enquanto corria a barca, lhe chamar. Enquanto corria a barca, por minha cabeça não passava. Somente só, assim vou lhe chamar. Assim você vai ser. Somente só, assim vou lhe chamar. Assim você vai ser. Somente só, assim vou lhe chamar. Assim você vai ser. Somente só, assim vou lhe chamar. Assim você vai ser. Eu ia lhe chamar
enquanto corria a barca.
Eu ia lhe chamar
Enquanto corria a barca.
lhe chamar.
Enquanto corria a barca.
Eu ia lhe chamar.
Enquanto corria a barca.
Eu ia lhe chamar.
Enquanto corria a barca.
Lhe chamar.
Enquanto corria a barca.
Okay, what's going on, everybody? It's me seeking a thread. It is Dom, it is I. I'm here to recap the WFMU 2025 record fair. Third year in a row going. Before that, it was a long time ago. But anyway, this one's the second year back at the Metropolitan Pavilion after that little weird one at Knockdown Center, which I actually sort of like. But yeah, another great fair. Super great turnout, very busy, prices high, sticker prices paid, not paid, never pay sticker price, and rubbing elbows with you out there, the vinyl community. It was a great time. Airbnb with my buds, we'll get into it. You know, I always look forward to this. We set up this thing months in advance, 6 months in advance. I find the Airbnb and we get that thing locked out. And we look forward to it. Been saving for about 4 months, putting money aside, selling things, as you know. And I had a really good budget this year. So much so that I was used the budget to pay for food, pay for hotel, pay for lodging, parking, you name it. So, and I still had money left over. So that went into a couple of other goodies, a couple other records I couldn't find. I had the target list. I'll tell you how many records I got off the target list. General feelings, this was a great one. Really happy with what I came home with. I didn't pay for anything, like maybe one that was like an exceptional sort of mega want or an exceptional sort of title. I didn't really splurge on any one big title. I mean, depending on that could be, you know, splurge is a relative word, I suppose. For some of you, maybe I definitely did. For some, maybe I didn't. But I had a nice budget to play with, and I had no problem using it, you know, we'll say that. Before I get into it, I just want to shout out everyone I saw, because that was a part of the cool thing about this, is just running into people I didn't know who were recognizing me from doing these videos. So, of course, the three dudes that we shared the apartment with, Brandon, who drove down from Buffalo once again, picked my ass up, Dave flew in from North Carolina, Faust in the Head, Localbandography, and Frank, JBL1000, who drove over from Pittsburgh, who even wandered into a live stream as he entered our little apartment. But then, of course, met Chris, the Groove Seeker, and Jason Rojas. I do the Vinyl Community Social Club with them. Chance. I've met Chance before. Saw Chance again, of course, from Surface Noise. Arnaldo from Surface Noise. Rich, DG Mono. I hadn't officially met Rich before, so it was great to meet him. Mike D, we'll call him, someone I've been in touch with who's watched my videos and got to hang out with us for dinner. Second time seeing Mike. Mike Jazz Bums. Only got to see Mike for a few minutes, but a special mission was taken care of for Mike. Yes, Arnaldo Walter, of course, we saw for dinner. Jesse, haven't met Jesse before, from Rogue Planet Music in Iowa, in Des Moines. It was cool to meet him. He came with Rich to, we met him outside of the fair, and then he came to the dinner we had. Another Jesse, who I've known for a long time, friend of mine and a brother-in-law to one of my best friends. He was there for an afternoon. Will, it was good to run into Will, who has been checked out the channel before. Tom, who's really going to hook me up with a very special trade. Joe, I forgot to mention Joe from the Analog Archive. I saw him earlier in the day on Saturday. Didn't see him long. I know he didn't stay around for too long. And Hey Joe, of course. Hey Joe got to hang out with. He was one of the people I got to hang with at the very end, so that was great. Spent some time with Hey Joe. Of course, Lance and Tara, Permanent Records, got to see them. Another Michael, who I didn't know, who's checked out the channel. He was a dealer. He was doing some posters. Chad Casson was there, and of course Thomas Bruce. Talked and met with Thomas for a little while, and you'll see a picture with him and Dave in here. So a ton of people all got together. It was so super great, and yeah, that was the highlight, is getting to have that dinner with everybody. We spent a long time eating at Dallas Barbecue, New York City, sort of little mini chain for barbecue. That was the highlight, and of course the highlight was spending time at the fair, where it got super busy on Saturday. But on Sunday, well, I'll tell you about it, I got to take a little more time and I looked through everything. I looked through every dealer. Let's start with it. So Brandon picks me up, and as we like to do for the third year in a row, although one of the years we did it on the way home, was go to Hudson Valley Vinyl, a shop run by Chris Reisman and John. I don't know John's last name, but they kind of split duties with, rock and jazz. Essentially, Chris is the jazz and sort of modern classical, experimental. John does anything rock or reggae and blues, and so they kind of split the store down the middle that way. But Chris I've known for a long time now, and Hudson Valley Vinyl is one of the best shops going, absolutely. It's always a highlight for me going there. It's a small store, but like what's in there, like there's no filler in there. Everything in there is awesome. Well, everything in there is quality. I mean, I don't love everything, of course, that would be insane. But great wall, great prices, very fair prices. Chris hooked it up, and I'll show you what I got there. That was the only record store we ended up going to because of scheduling and because of the way things worked out. I picked this out of the bin. Now, I'm not going to talk about every record for too long or else we'll be here forever, but some of them I will. Extended Voices. This is a nice, one of those Columbia Odyssey compilations, Brandeis University. Morton Feldman, John Cage, Robert Ashley, Alvin Lucier, Pauline Oliveros, classic stuff there. This I pulled out of the bin. Julie Driscoll, 1969, a Polydor pressing on UK Polydor pressing. And this, I'll show this now. This was technically from the WFMU portion that John was there. John was running the Hudson Valley Vinyl part at the fair. So this is from the Hudson Valley Vinyl record fair stock. It's the second album by Peter Michael Hamill of Between. I've never seen this in person anywhere or in the wild. This is a second pressing. Now, if you can see the prices, great. Have fun. You've seen what I paid for these things, okay? But, usually it's below, because actually on every record it's below, because, people were fair and sticker price wasn't paid. But anyway, it's on the Spaceship label. This does exist as a Vertigo Swirl. Never seen that. That one gets a lot more pricey. This price was very fair. This is the second album, much more vocal driven. But the big piece, I saw this on the wall as soon as I walked in, and being that this is an absolute favorite jazz record, I had to get it. It's the Elements, of course. Joe Henderson. You know it. You love it. Alice Coltrane is contributing. Water, Earth, Fire, Air. Not in that order exactly. Earth is the track that I first got turned on to from the Late Night Tales Fortet edition. Fortet, Kieran Hebden, who I would run into at the record fair. That's where I found out about this record. I've had a reissue, like an early to mid 2000s Euro reissue, which actually sells for a little bit of money, so I'll be able to sell that and put it towards the cost of this. The price was fair on this. I knew whenever I did see this, that I would get it, and I was really thankful to get it at Hudson Valley Vinyl. So, really beautiful copy. This is like the epitome of spiritual jazz right here. Michael White is on here. Charlie Hayden, of course, upright and electric bass. Alice and Kenneth Nash doing all the different percussion. It's on the first labels are these orange labels, because it's from 1974. So, Brandon did quite good there too. We went to our favorite coffee shop there in Beacon, and we headed down to the Airbnb to meet Dave and Frank. We had hoped to go to Ergot Records that night. We didn't. Well, we sort of did. I'll explain. We wanted to get a dead stock copy of this record I'm going to show you in a minute, but also to hang out and see what else was there. There was a performance going on with Ron House, which I was supposed to go to and meet Jason Rojas, but to make a long story short, we didn't do that. We ended up just hanging out at the Airbnb. We set up the record player as we like to do, and we hung out. Me, Frank, and Dave, and Brandon, playing records and getting ready to get there in the morning.
Bagel sandwich. Breakfast of champions. Beautiful Saturday.
Oh yeah, perfect. It's coffee-ish. A side of coffee.
Oh, look at these buttheads over here. They're wondering where's Grand Central Terminal. It's right there, guys. It's right there. You guys lost? Walking through the farmer's market. Famous Union Square Farmer's Market.
No, I always take my spot.
See you guys. All right, first walk through.
We got in line at 9:30, got a nice little breakfast, of course, a New York bagel, and our apartment is near the UN on the east side, like Midtown East, so we got to hang out at Grand Central Station for a bit. And yeah, online, got to meet some of you guys out there, Chance, Arnaldo, Joe, DG Mono Rich, Jazz Bums, Mike. Yeah, Mike, I think we saw Mike there in the morning, yeah. And yeah, shot the shit for a bit, headed in. Now, first things I usually do with these things is scan the whole place, see if there's anything that's on display on the wall that I absolutely have to have. But I decided, one of my focuses was to get some Brazilian originals. And I went to a guy named Eduardo, which I have a picture here of Jason shaking hands with him. I want to thank this. I'm linking to a full video, 45-minute video, where I pulled some screenshots from, because I took not as much video this year, but some. But some, thanks to this channel, which I'll link to below, I've used some of those screenshots. So Eduardo was working at the human head sort of wall, we'll say, with the balloons in the shape of human head. And he had some records that I had to get. One of them was one I did not think I was going to be able to get it because of this artist passing away. I'm talking about, yes, a classic. Everyone knows this record. Milton Nascimento and Lo Borges, Clube da Esquina. My Portuguese is not existent. This is the original first stereo pressing. Does not have an insert, as was pointed out to me or reminded to me by Alan Always on the VC Social Club stream. But it is the very coveted first stereo pressing. The mono is exceptionally tougher to get, but super thrilled with the price I paid for this, because if you would have told me I could get it for this price, I would have gone in like ready to, knowing I was getting it, but I didn't know that I was going to be able to get it because I didn't think it was available at that price. So really thrilled with that. I'm going to make a big mess of records here. Double LP, the first labels on, what's the label again? Odeon. Absolute classic in MPB and Brazilian, rock, we'll say. The other record I got was by Novos Banos, one I earmarked years ago, either from people showing it or checking it out at some point. This is on the Som Livre label. Great shape. This one does not have the insert either, but the price for the two of these, when we came to a deal, was super good. Cash is king. It's always great to have cash at this thing. It really does help. So those were the two big scores. I spent a good chunk of change on these two records. Next, I went over to Ergot Records because I didn't get to go there the night before. They posted on their Instagram that they had dead stock. They're like the dead stock, queens, kings and queens. And I have two records from Ergot I purchased at different times that are both dead stock. First is this Kath Bloom and Lauren Connors. This is the original pressing with Nat Hentoff lyrics on the back, interestingly. On the Ambiguous label, I don't know if there's a reissue of this, I forget. But I have a couple of reissues that were done over the years, but I didn't have this reissue. And they were selling these. They had a whole pile of them. They put them online, and they were selling them at the store. I figured they said they would have them at the fair, and sure enough, they did. So here it is. Original dead stock copy came like this without shrink on it. Next, I didn't know he was going to be there because the dealer list and dealer map was sometimes a little ambiguous about who's who. But Patrick, the dealer from France, who by way of California, I guess, was there in the A row. And I found this out from Frank. Thank you again, Frank. But this is what we're playing. I pulled 2 records, well, technically 3. One I bought for Dave, and he grabbed it off me. The Catherine Ribeiro. But this is what we're playing, and this is what I was looking for. Synchro Rhythmic Eclectic Band. 2 records. This is one of 2. Lambie. Yeah. Got a good price on this. Really happy. And I know that this is one I'd... At some point, again, I'd listened to this, checked this out. 2 years ago, when we were hanging out with Mazzy at the Brooklyn Record Exchange, they were playing the reissue in store, and I was reminded then, like, oh, I need that record. And here it is, 2 years later. This is 76 on the Moishe Name label. It's like Moishe Nam. That's what we're listening to. We're going to listen to that for the duration, I think. And there was another record that I wanted to get that he had, the Théâtre de Chat Noir, but I decided to wait on it, and then someone had bought it by Sunday. But I got this one. Pretty cheap record. Phil Woods and his Rhythm Machine. This is the one I don't have, with Daniel Humer and Gordon Beck, Ron Matheson. This is going to be awesome because I love that cheap one that's on the... I can't think of what label it is, but it's like a $4 record. So this was French pressing on... Is it Barclay? Oh, Pierre Cardin. So those are the 2 records I got from there. Would have liked to have gotten more, but I think I missed some. Next, the dealer that smoked me in terms of took most of my money, and just asked Brandon. Music Research Library. Everyone I talked to really felt like they had the goods, and they did. So 2 different purchases. I purchased some on Saturday and some on Sunday. So 2 different little scores from them. Great guys. Zach, I met and talked with him for a while. I'll tell you later about a potential trade that didn't happen, but here's what I got. The U.S. pressing of Taperzuki, Man a Warrior. This is on the Myrrh label, which, as my friend Jesse pointed out to me, is Lenny Kaye's label, who was in attendance. This is a great dub record for Taperzuki, a little bit of an unknown producer, or lesser known, we'll say. This is the U.S. pressing, though. There's Jamaican pressings of this. So this was a good deal. Second record by J.D. Emanuel. I just picked up the first album, Rainforest Music, after I'd sold that reissue, and Wizard's Incantation on the same North Star Productions from '82. Got that one. One that I maybe knew from name, but not really. Jonas, Final Stockholm, really drove the point home on this one. On the Silence label, happy to bring home a Silence record, Ragnarok, a late 70s sort of prog, sort of psych, sort of je ne sais quoi, you know. I do want to show the Silence label. This is all from Music Research Library. I got a bunch of French records, which was interesting because I could have gotten these from Patrick. I'll show those in a second. There's the labels there, nice and clean. So, looking forward to that. Price was right. Again, we made a package deal. 2 records on the Pole label. When I see Pole originals, not Tapioca, I pay attention. And now this one, they're never in the best shape, but this one ended up being about $35, $32 for Pole's first album. I don't have this, of course. I have the second album. Inside, whatever that's called, with the blue cover. Really happy to get this on the original Pole labels. We played this at the apartment. I think Dave and Brandon were both into it. And the Verto Krieg Volubius. This ended up being about, $50-something on the original Pole label. This is all from Music Research Library. Another French record. More French records. They ended up coming... I always look for these French LPs in avant-garde and experimental. They didn't come from Patrick. They came from Music Research Library. The third Perception record, which is the one I don't have. with a real host of different, French greats. Siegfried Kessler, Jean-Jacques Arpin, J.F. Jenny Clark, Manuel Villarreal, Didier Levelet, Jean Maitrong. I mean, all of these, they're on different sort of pieces, but played a good half of this at the Apartment Perception and Friends. This is from 1972. So that was the first haul from Music Research Library, all on Saturday. And at this point, I think we started getting close to general admission time at 1 p.m.
Assim você vai ser. Eu ia lhe chamar.
Enquanto corria a barca,
Eu ia lhe chamar.
enquanto corria a barca,
Lhe chamar.
enquanto corria a barca,
Eu ia lhe chamar.
enquanto corria a barca,
Eu ia lhe chamar.
enquanto corria a barca,
Lhe chamar.
enquanto corria a barca.
Abre a porta e a janela.
Hopefully I found some pictures of this guy, but Wax Paper, otherwise known as Wes, a guy I spoke with for a little while last year and did buy this heat record from him. This time I bought two really awesome and not cheap records. He was dealing with this, or next to the Sound of Blue, who I didn't buy anything from, but always has knockout stuff. All of Wes's Wax Papers records were interesting, but I settled on these two. And this one, the only one I got from my Target list. But I took it from the hands of Kieran Hebden. And essentially, as I picked it up, Wes was right there with Kieran Hebden saying, "Oh, didn't you want that Steve Potts?" Or "He's taking that Steve Potts." And Hebden just sort of smiled. But anyway, yeah, Steve Potts on the En Du Toi label. This is the one I had earmarked from my list. Yeah, price was right. Again, got a good price on it after going back and forth. A real tour de force saxophonist. I really wanted to find this one. En Du Toi. The other record, so between the two of these, it was a hefty tag, but this one, the price on this was probably considerably under median. And this is a cool one. I know Dylan has shown this. George here at Angry Mom has it. And this is just a really interesting experimental, psychedelic, almost like a library record, really, if you think about it. That's not really a genre, but this is Dreamies by Bill Holt. You don't really see his name here, but it's on the label. It's somewhere. It's still in the shrink, though. I believe it's Bill Holt, right? It's not really labeled as such, but look, it even comes with the insert. Stone Theater Productions. Dreamies. Oral graphic entertainment. And it's really hard to describe other than it's a real far out excursion. It's really taking you on a trip. Program 11, Program 10. It's two side-long pieces. Made in Delaware. This is a super cool record. Not one I was looking for, like in the back of my head, but if it wasn't like something I looked for on the daily or anything, but happy to see it. This is the original pressing. I definitely checked. There are a lot of bootlegs of this. And it is 100% recommended for a beautiful electric journey into your imagination. That's actually a good way to put this record. Really interesting. Making a mess.
Nothing's priced.
Well, that's what you got to look on the inside.
Okay.
I know. It's all in euro, by the way. Yeah.
Thanks.
It's good to know, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're like thin covers, so you always feel like, oh, I gotta open this up every time.
I'm gonna turn it into a G, trying to figure out.
Yeah. Careful.
G to G.
You just bought it.
Right.
All right.
Do you know where the prices are in these?
Oh, we were just talking about
Just
that.
discussing it.
They're in euros.
Yeah, thank you. Being very careful. I was like, with this one, I didn't want to change it from a VG or from a G to a F by a.
There was a great reggae table with a lot of LPs in 12 inches. I spent a lot of time there, but this is towards the end of the day. Kind of towards the end of the first day, as the general admission is, and I ended up just getting one, but it's one that I wanted the most. I put two back, and I think he was a little annoyed, but so he didn't give me a huge discount on this one. Stu, though, nice guy. I played a bunch of stuff with the turntable there. Hugh Mundell, Africa Must Be Free by 1983. This is on the Message label, Jamaican Press. Augustus Pablo's all over this, so you're going to want to check that out. Produced by engineers Earl Thompson, Smart, what's his name? But it's recorded at Harry J's and Joe Gibbs, Channel 1, and at the Black Ark. That's where it was recorded, but you know you're getting into some good stuff with this one. Cool labels. This one, yeah, it's a Jamaican press. It doesn't look perfect, but it looks pretty good for Jamaican. Two other records picked out. This is the one I decided to go with. Another reggae record, and this is one I don't remember the dealer's name. I'll have to see if I can insert it. I do have a picture. And I just got this. This was marked at 50. He gave it to me for 40. And we're talking about this Vital Dub. The Well Charged label. This is the Revolutionaries, Strictly Rockers. You have, let's see, this is again recorded at the Channel 1 studio. The Scottalites, the Scottalites. The Aggravators, Tommy McCook Aggravators are all over this, I believe. But yeah, Dub Me Baby, Vital Dub, Well Charged. I'll show you the labels because they're really good. Really happy to get that. You know, this is, the water damage doesn't bother me on this one. What a cool. Almost looks silkscreen, but it's not. We're almost to the end of the first day. I actually did pick up a bunch the second day. Here's one. Yeah, I may have this a little bit off, but this was from Mr. Bongo, who sells a lot of Brazilian records, and this one was directly recommended to me by Jason. Hackman77, vinylly found, Brazilian expert. Carioca and Devas. This is one I barely sampled. This is essentially blind buy, but it's from 1980, and he had two copies of this. This was a nicer copy. Mr. Bongo deal. You're paying in euro, and they write all the prices on the inside, which is kind of funny. Yeah, I did okay on this. So this listed as like psychedelic experimental. We'll see about that. I went for it on this one. Thank you, Jason. I believe this was the last record I got from the day, and it was the dead stock of the Munir AF and Rhythm String Band Volume 3 for them on the Idabib label, Doug Hyman's label. Dave got this and was super stoked, and I checked out a little bit online, and just a little bit, and we went for it. Dead stock, I can't resist it. So I believe that was day one.
Assim vou lhe chamar, assim você vai ser. Somente só. Assim vou lhe chamar, assim você vai ser. Somente só. Assim vou lhe chamar, assim você vai ser. Somente só. Assim vou lhe chamar, assim você vai ser. Eu ia lhe chamar.
Met up with a bunch of you. I'll put in pictures. We met for dinner. And there was a lot of good hanging time at the apartment with Frank and Dave and Brandon and playing records. But yeah, getting to meet everybody and have dinner together was awesome. It was super, super fun. We spent a lot of time shooting the shit. Talking all about Jason's big score. Yeah, we'll talk about day two. So the process for me, day two, was to go a little easier on spending money and try to look through everything.
In one of those PVC things that has off gas.
through every dealer's table. Not necessarily every record, but I visited each dealer's table, and it was fun. Like, not necessarily knowing if I was going to buy anything, but as I went through, I slowly found stuff. This is from, I always forget the name of this dealer, but another dub record. A lot of Jamaican. The Shark dealer. They were on the end by the bar. I'll insert a pic, but Reaction and Dub, the Revolutionaries on the Cha Cha label. Gave me a good price, and he has another record for me that we're trying to work out the details of. More to come on that, hopefully. This is from 1977 to 78. I haven't talked about Joe at Basement Records, who has the most heaviest free jazz, spiritual jazz, modal jazz private presses there are. Nothing that I was jumping on this time. But there was a Blue Note record that I've been wanting to get for many years, and I've just been waiting for the right time to get it. You know, I saw the cover of this and I was like, I don't know. But then I looked at the price. I found out that it's an original first pressing from 1967. In great shape. Really nice shape. And Joe, after talking for a while, worked out a deal. The date on this is 2013, 10/28. So he only sells there. This was 12 years old. So I think that made it willing for him to give this to me for a great price, $85. Andrew Hill's Compulsion. Okay, everyone knows this record. What a list of people here. Freddie Hubbard, John Gilmore. Not a lot of non-Sun Ra Gilmore appearances. Cecil McBee, Richard Davis, both playing bass on different tracks. Joe Chambers, Nidhi Kumar, seldom seen and very collectible, and Renaud Simmons on congas. So really happy to get that with no inner sleeve. I got to get this in a real inner sleeve. So that was the only record I got from Joe at Basement Records. Maybe next time, we'll see. 2 records here from a guy named Ken, who I've known for many years, actually. I mean, not someone I talk to very often, but he used to do record fairs in Ithaca. And he had the most indie records I saw. This is the Third Eye Foundation, Ghost, band out of Bristol. This is going to be a little more on the electronic side of things, but it's on the Domino label. These 2 records will end up being $25 together. Here's what I've been waiting to get. I've just not wanted to order from the UK, and here it was for $12, ended up being $10. The Sitting Room by Ann Clark, an EP on the Red label. This is cool stuff, sort of post-punk. Got this from a guy named Doug, who I met doing record fairs, flea markets at the Brooklyn Flea around 2010, 2011, somewhere in there, right when my son was born. I think it would have been. Maybe it was earlier than that. No, earlier than that. 2008, 2009, 2010, in there. So I talked with him for a while, and I bought this, another reggae record, Bunny Wailer, not the last Wailer record you're going to see either, on the Solomonic label. This ended up being $20. Yes, not in great shape, but it's Jamaican. The record's nice. Academy Records. I visited Academy Records, who had a table by the end where they were selling a Pedro Santos original Brazilian LP for $4,000. No, I didn't buy that, but I did buy a Bob Marley record. The second album by the Bob Marley and the Wailers, produced by Lee Perry. This is not the first pressing on the Upsetter label, but this other mysterious maroon label that apparently has a different mix. But I've been wanting this. I want the 2 Jamaican pressing first 2 albums, and now I have this one. This isn't the very first press, but it's a little hard to know. But it's Lee Perry produced. I'm in. Some of Bob Marley and the Wailers' early great vocal songs. On the Maroon label, like I said, it is a Jamaican pressing. And I also got this for a great price. Now I have 2 copies of this, so yeah. Ted Daniel, self-titled album on Ujamaa. Only pressing of this with Otis Harris, Hakeem Jami, Richard Pierce, Kenneth Hughes, Warren Benbow. Paid way less, probably paid half of what I got mine for originally on the Ujamaa label. So great there from Academy Records. Still going through the whole fair, looking through every record, trying to touch every dealer. Well, trying to touch every record.
Eu ia lhe chamar
Enquanto corria a barca,
Eu ia lhe chamar
enquanto corria a barca,
Lhe chamar
enquanto corria a barca,
Eu ia lhe chamar
enquanto corria a barca,
Eu ia lhe chamar
enquanto corria a barca,
Lhe chamar
enquanto corria a barca.
Abre a porta e a janela E vem ver o sol nascer
Abre a porta e a
Jordan with Stony Creek Records ended up having, he had great stuff at the end of the year end of the second day last year. I was able to get this and another record for a Jazz Bum. We paired that with this, The Visitors' Neptune on Cobblestone. Really cool, bit of a jazz funk, spiritual sort of feel to it. This is from the early 70s on the Cobblestone label. Love that one. Pierre Schaeffer. I got this from a guy named Jeremy, another dealer who I bumped into that I'd known from the past. Used to sell records at Kim's. This I did not get much of a deal on, unfortunately. One of the few. But a really cool experimental musique concrète record on the GRM records, GRM label. Harmonia Mundi, Pierre Schaeffer, 1983. Good price, fair price for it. Two more records from... Is it two more? Yeah, two more records from Music Research Library. Almost a third. I'll tell you about that, but a Popol Vuh I didn't have. Broeder des Chatons. This is from 78 on the Brain label. Actually, I'm not even sure if this is the first pressing. And yeah, Black Elvis by Kool Keith. This was great at $25. Double album from 98, I think it's 99, on the Rough House label. Just one of the freakiest hip-hop artists in the late 90s. Record I've already known. Didn't expect to grab this, but you know, you do. And I'll tell you about the other record that happened at the end here. A couple other things. I did not get to really... I did look through Mind Cure, Mike's records, earlier in the fair Saturday, but nothing totally jumped out at me. And by the time I got back to him, it was the end of the day on Sunday. Brandon and I, Dave left a little earlier, but Brandon and I and Frank had left the night before, or the day that day. He didn't come to the second day, but Frank was helping out a dealer too. But Dave had left, and me and Brandon ended up staying there almost to the bitter end.
The dregs of the record fair. 2 hours left, and still digging. Brandon going hard, making a deal. Still working. Not done yet. This is where the hardcore really hang out. Yep, about an hour and a half to go here. Deals are being made here.
Until about 6:15, they closed at 7. And so I was going through Mike's records. He had a half off, 50% off any record under $20. And yeah, this Grand Funk clean first pressing of this hard rock album. It's a classic. I like it. This ended up being $5. And Americana, this archival, really excellent. I have this by Neil Young. If anyone needs a copy of this, or if anyone needs a copy of that Ted Daniel, let me know. Archival release, a version from 83. This is a recording. This came out maybe 10 years ago now, so this was $10. Excellent. So that was all I got from Mind Cure this time, but, you know, but we'll get them next time. The last record, is this it? Yeah, the last record I picked up was back to that dealer Ken, who had all the indie records. And he had the first pressing of Spiritualized live at Royal Albert Hall. This ended up being $60 or $65, I think. Maybe it was 60. I think it was 60. Nice. The sleeve is one of the pocket double LP sleeves, so that's a little worn, but the records look nice. They have the inner sleeves. And last but not least, VCLT. We like to exchange VCLT when we see each other. So Dave and Brandon gave me, well, Dave gave me this, which is right for the times, this 7-inch by the Los Crudos. So I haven't checked this out yet. Thank you, Dave. And this one from Brandon, which I don't even know what this is. It looks cool. I'm sure it's good. Alexis de Grenier and Mona Champagne. Brandon told me about what this sounds like, but I don't remember. I'm sure it's good. So those are all my records. And very happy. Very happy. We played some of them in the apartment. I've only spun a few here. So there's still a lot to get to, but, you know, very happy. I have no regrets with this one. There was a couple of records I could have picked up that I didn't. I had money left over even, so that was good. I was able to put that money towards some turntable repairs I had to do, and then a few records that, yes, I did buy on the outset. I talked about trying to trade a record, and that one record was Harmonia's Deluxe, the second pressing on the orange brain labels. I tried to trade it to Music Research Library. I don't have it with me because I'll tell you, but I tried to trade it to Music Research Library for the live Tap Scott record on Nimbus. They were giving me a fair, I think, trade, $100 for that, towards that record. It was what they wanted to give me. I decided not to do it and sell it on my own. I'm glad I did, because I ended up selling it for much more this week. And now I can upgrade to a green brain. So the Harmonia is gone. The other record I brought with me, which caused some controversy, not controversy, but Arnaldo was also trying to trade this record, Karen Dalton. I talked about this. I did not trade it. There was a dealer on Sunday called Palimpest who responded to my YouTube video saying, hey, we're going to have a really clean copy of that at our booth. So I went there. They were only there on Sunday, actually. I went there and said, hey, would you be willing to take this and trade it towards that? And they said no. So that was that. I walked away. I actually played my copy again, and this plays really well. Plays VG Plus or better, actually. The sleeve was just maybe a little worn, but I'm not going to bother trying to upgrade. I mean, they wanted $400 for it, and I paid like way less than half of that for this. So, and this sounds great. Original green labels and everything. Tried to make a deal for the last Ahmed Abdul Malik at Chad Kassem's table. I told that story. There was a problem area that caused a bunch of clicks or a bunch of pops. I think clicks or some kind of that kind of sound for like, I don't know, a minute or two, and their price was way too high. I tried to get it for a fair price based on that. Didn't end up happening. Chad, we couldn't make a deal, man. Too bad. And the other record I brought around trying to trade, if anyone wants to buy this from me, let me know. Coltrane Sound, original first pressing in tip-top shape on those labels. So still have this. And the Karen Dalton, I'm giving up the dream on that because I think my copy's good. So it was a great fair. Next year, it's going to be 3 days, so we got to strap in for that. Yeah, I have no regrets. This is a good one. Great records found. Really happy with all the prices I paid on everything. And it was just, the highlight was meeting everybody and seeing everybody again that I hadn't seen in a year or haven't met in some cases. So hope you enjoyed that recap and all the inserts and everything. Yeah, we look forward to the next one. And let me know what you found out there. And I hope everyone had a great time at FMU if you went. And let me know what you think. Everybody take care. Peace out.
E vem ver o sol nascer. Eu sou pássaro que vivo avoando sem nunca mais parar. Ai, 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 saudade, não venha me matar. Ai, 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 saudade, não venha me matar. Ai, ai.